activated.
GSL Season 1, Code S, Daybreak.
Welcome to the GSL.
GSL Season 1.
We have
Code S,
the special 9 p.m. broadcast.
Let it begin.
Whoa. I'm getting wiggly, Artosis.
Epic tonight, oh my god.
We have the final group in the round of 16. And it is all Protosses. We're about to witness some Protoss cannibalism go down.
Yeah, we're getting 5 PvP best of 3s tonight between 4 of the best Protosses in the world, all of which are quite different from each other. So it's exciting. This is a great group, to be honest. If you're going to have 4 guys with the same race, I like a group like this where literally all 4 of them have chances.
Yeah.
Anyone who, like, you can't really predict this group, and I'm sure there are some people out there thinking Trap might not make it out. I tell you
what,
what,
underestimate him. His PvP is pretty sexy.
he is one of the most understated players in the world and has been for quite some time. He's no longer forced by Jin Air to play. What's the name of that other game? Overwatch. That's
right.
It. Yeah, that game where you click on people's heads. Yeah, no, he doesn't have to play that very much anymore, right? So he is back to just playing StarCraft. He's in great shape. I think he can get out of this group. I think it's a real possibility here. But look at the group. It's so crazy.
Well, everybody has a shot. You know what also makes this quite interesting is the winner of this, or one of the survivors of this group, I should say, will go up against Classic. Now you have to be one of the greatest PvP players of all time to get out of this group, and Classic looks so crazy good.
Yeah.
We're going to have an excellent match in the Final Four.
Oh, absolutely. And the player who wins this group gets Maru, which is no easy feat as well. So, like, I don't know, man. This is crazy.
All right, guys, we're going to be starting these matches shortly. Tell your friends to join us.
자, 그럼 이렇게 해서 1차 지명이 이제 마무리가 됐고 두 번째는 김대엽 선수죠. 김대엽 선수 마이크 한번 잡아주시고.
다들 좀 보니까 다들 잘하는 선수들밖에 없더라고요.
네.
테란도
네.
한 명 있긴 한데.
한 명이요? 한희석 선수요? 한 명?
온라인으로 치르면 솔직히 가고 싶거든요.
네.
근데 오프의 김대엽은 강력해서 별로 하고 싶지 않아요.
자, 그럼 김대엽 선수 나가셔서 한 명을 데리고 오십시오. 조성우를? 조성우를?
진짜인가요?
와, 대박.
사실 테란이라고는 말했지만은
네.
그 워낙 강한 선수들밖에 없어가지고 솔직히 저그도 별로 뽑기 싫어가지고
네.
토스 중에 고민을 했는데 진짜 뽑을 사람이 없더라고요.
무슨 종족전 제일 어렵냐고 물어보니까
네.
푸전이 제일 빡세다고 하더라고요.
그 푸전이 빡센데 조성우는 왜 뽑았냐?
네.
그래서 신뢰가 좀 안 되죠.
네.
쉬워서 뽑은 거네요? 쉬워서?
네, 그냥 쉬워서 뽑은 것 같아요.
여기서 그냥 프로토스를 더 뽑아서 김효진 데려오는 거예요, 그냥 여기서.
네, 그것도 나쁘지 않아요.
와! 자, 그럼 이렇게 김효진을? 진짜 김효진을?
프로토스를 뽑는 것도 이제 김대엽 선수가 까다로울 거라 주성욱 선수도 좀 괜찮지 않을까.
주성욱 진짜 여기는 죽음의 조가 무조건 될 수밖에 없거든요. 네. 한 명이 뭐 남은 선 김준호? 김준호 진짜?
그냥 악수하는 거겠죠.
아니 그냥
진짜예요?
진짜로? 아니 김대엽 선수 얼굴
이거 완전 맞불 넣겠다는 거죠. 동족전 빌드 우리 다 꺼내보자.
네.
제가 오기 싫었던 조 중에 하나였는데 푸푸전이라 또 토스들은 푸푸전 다 싫어하거든요.
네.
그래서 올 줄 몰랐는데 좀 당황스럽긴 하네요.
D조만 좀 가기 싫네요.
D조에 프로토스가 너무 많아가지고.
안 돼. Don't pick me. 오케이?
오케이. Don't pick me.
개싸게.
오케이, 여기 너. 그렇죠.
안 돼.
진짜. 진짜 몰랐어. 어떻게 좀 D조를 올 프로토스조로 만들 것인지 아니면 여기서 프로토스 데리고 올 것인지 한희석 선수 손에 모든 게 달려 있습니다.
분위기를 그냥 테란 배우는 거죠.
그렇죠. 확실히 이제 프로토스의 좀 까다롭다 보니까.
네.
그리고 한인서 선수가 또 잘 풀리면 템테는 잘해요.
김효진
그렇죠.
그럼 D조는 강제로 사토스가.
D조 정말
됐어요.
네, 데스로 가죠.
자 이제 이제 스스로 왔어요. 김효진 선수.
볼 거 없다.
스스로 왔어요. 스스로 혼자.
우선 이번 16강 흥행은 망한 것 같아요.
망한 것 같아요.
네. 우선 3패랑 원토스에다가 사토스가 나온 이상 시청률은 반토막입니다. 이건 한희석 때문입니다.
이 모든 게 한희석 때문이다.
전이 지금 개념이 아직 토스 선수들도 완벽히 안 잡힌 상태라서 지금 서로 좀 꺼려하는 것 같은데 자신감 가지고 열심히 하면 이길 수 있을 것
솔직히 좀 구경하는 입장에서 재밌죠?
네, 저도 싫어요, 쟤네.
제일 싫어요. 와.
자랑스러운 우리 동족은 고향을 떠나야만 했다. 하지만 그들은 우리의 결속마저 끊지는 못했다.
이거 다 올 프로토스 거네요.
와, D조는 그냥 프로토스 하나로 그냥.
우리는 신성한 칼라를 통해 모든 생각, 모든 감정을 함께 나누기 때문이다. 오늘 우리는 되찾으리라. 우리의 고향과 우리의 유산을.
Enjoyed that video.
That was great.
That was cute. I like the incorporation of the single player storyline there. Yeah. I forgot about that. They're connected by the Kala, and their minds are connected. Or I don't know the single player that well.
Yeah.
Well, I enjoyed what they did.
I liked Zest's little speech as well. He's like, I don't think these players really know PvP that well, but you know what, guys? If you guys work hard, you can win.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, thanks, Zest. That's great.
Some rocks have been thrown.
Yeah.
So this is kind of cool. We're starting a broadcast at 9 p.m. This is later than we ever normally do this. I was wondering if that was going to kind of like affect the mood, the vibe.
This is going to affect the wallet of everyone who stays to the end because you're going to have to take taxis home.
The train station closes at, I think, like 12:30 or 12.
Yeah.
There is a chance that we will go past midnight. Maybe not. PvP can be short, for sure.
It could be. It definitely could be.
But I'm excited.
Yeah. Well, it's an exciting group, and it's really hard to say who's going to come out. What's your thought process on this?
I think SOS should get out.
Okay.
I guess I'll say I'll be surprised if he doesn't. And I'm thinking Hero is so tricky. He may be able to navigate this, but then again, it just feels weird to not say Stats would get out no matter what. He was so consistent.
This is the problem with the group
in 2017. And Trap, I think, is a little bit of a wild card here. I think that the accomplishments of the other three Protoss players may overshadow Trap, but if you look at Trap's PvP games, he is really, really good.
Yeah, he really truly is, and he has been for so long. Such an underrated player. So, I can see anything happening in this group. To be honest, I was saying yesterday, and I'll stand by it, that I actually look at Stats as maybe even the least likely to get out of the group. I think that this could be a very difficult group for him. His PvP is not always tip-top shape. In my opinion, oftentimes that's his weaker matchup out of the matchup. So.
It's weird. It feels funny to say, though, right? To say that Stats might not get out, but I can't really disagree with you. I think that
it's crazy.
This is a tough one.
He's like my spirit animal too. He's like the best defensive Protoss in the world, man. Like I just try to copy Stats all the time. But I look at this group and I think it's a tough one for him in the way he normally plays. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen tonight. It's an exciting group though. And groups like this, You know, SOS was joking about viewership going down in half. To be honest, I feel like viewership should go up. I love when you get only one matchup in a night.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun because we really get to unpack it.
The amount you get to unflesh this, we're getting at least 10 PvPs.
Like the TVPs we were casting yesterday, I absolutely love that because we get to dive deep. You know, sometimes there's matchups you and I only get to scratch the surface of.
Yeah.
And I really like to figure out all these and see the inner workings. And the only way to do it is to watch the very best players interact with each other.
Totally. And I mean, 10 to 15 PvPs amongst these 4 players, we're definitely going to have a real understanding of what these guys think PvP is all about right now. And we're going to see more PvP in this tournament as well. So what these guys do kind of lays the groundwork for the rest of the tournament. It's an important night.
So we're going to start this off on the map Odyssey. It's been a little while since we've actually casted any of these players playing. They've had a long time to prep for PvP, so we will probably be seeing some of the best PvP matches we've seen in years. Tonight is going to kick a lot of ass.
I think you're right about that.
I am super excited. And our game is now loaded up, so let's do this. Group D, match number 1, Stats versus Trap.
GSL Season 1, Code S, Daybreak.
So I want to go over this idea
what's
that
up?
I've had with you about PvP recently. So I was trying to figure out PvP since the mothership core is removed, right? Because it's really
that was a big dramatic change,
especially
in how the entire matchup operates.
Yeah, like the shield battery is so much different than that.
Yeah.
You know, I look at it and I'm like, this matchup.
Jin-Air Greenway.
I like the other 2 matchups more without the mothership core. I think they're more fun and stuff and better. This matchup I actually liked more with the mothership core. And if you recall back to when it was first introduced, it was actually the main thing that fixed PvP from just being like a 4-gate fest and stuff, right? Because you could just like overcharge your Nexus and like you just would hold on against early rushes. So it kind of like, it really did a lot to fix PvP. And now, like for instance, you have to wall in every game against depth, stuff like that. Anyways, I'm getting out of the way of the thing I want to talk about here. And so I was thinking very deeply a while back. Yeah, prior to the midnight. Yeah, that's what it looks like to me. I think we're going to be out of here about 12:30. But so I was trying to think like what is PvP really going to boil down into? And the thing that kept popping up in my mind was Phoenixes. And we've seen it, Phoenixes kind of coming up a little bit more. And I want to just talk about that for a moment, right? So when you went Phoenixes previously, if you had a few Stalkers and your mothership core, you would defend against them, right?
Yeah.
But let's say I have 3 or 4 Phoenixes. How many Stalkers, when you're on 2 bases, do you need to defend properly against that? Well, pre-Blink, don't you need 3 or 4 in each mineral line? Aren't you forcing out a really heavy amount of Stalkers to counter a smaller amount of Phoenixes? Which
and the funny thing about that is you're not even really directly countering the Phoenixes, right? You're just having to have something to deter them. But then they can't. The moment that one of the fundamental things about Phoenix builds in PvP is once a player who's going for a ground army leaves his base, that's when the Phoenixes can come in and kill all the probes.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of a funny conundrum within the matchup.
Yeah, and if you can just force Stalkers out because they can't defend with a mothership core well at all.
Whoa, is he?
It seems to me, right, that the Immortal gains a lot of value. They're already a valuable unit in the matchup, and especially when you look at how shield batteries interact with Immortals. It's just like, I don't know. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is I feel like we're going to see a lot of Phoenixes tonight, but because Hero and SOS are in the group, who the hell knows?
Yeah, it's very hard to say.
Anyways, that's just some ideas that I have about PvP.
No, I love unpacking this. You know, something I want to say just as a quick comment here is like, you know, it's as a StarCraft caster, the only way we can really get better is to watch the best players and cast the best games, because, you know, that's where we get to see really what the very, very greatest players are doing, right? There's no way, especially when there's changes in a game, to then relearn every single matchup at that moment, right? That's a hard one to do. You actually have to have the people that are only playing one race against the other very best players of those opposing races to see what the games are actually going to look like. But it's fun to speculate and try to get some theory crafted in there before this really unfolds. And by the way, it looks like Stats actually has gotten into this area. I believe Trap's going to try to push back down here. He needs to be careful. There's that one nearly dead Stalker.
Yeah, with the sentries, he's a little bit scared to actually pop all the way in there.
Okay, now this is something that could also get interesting here. Sending these Adepts up to start gunning down probes, and you can see he actually commits to this.
Yeah, and that's a lot of units in the main base, but he actually ran home with his Stalkers immediately here. So that's kind of interesting that he shades in and then does not pressure the front anyways. Okay, what was that? Was that a shield battery that canceled, or possibly did he make like a Dark Shrine and then cancel it?
Do you mean the, oh, in the main?
Yes, Trap canceled something. He canceled something that our observer showed us, but I didn't get to catch what that was.
PvP is, canceling is, I think, most powerful a lot of times in PvP. That's the matchup where you can actually show something and then get rid of it, or make it look like you would have canceled that because it didn't make any sense and then keep it. And really force the direction that they're taking the game to go in, and one that, in fact, later on would be uncomfortable for them. So it's interesting.
Phoenix Scout comes in, so whatever it was, it's gone, and he knows it. Whether he saw it or not, whatever it is. Well, he did see whatever it was, but anyways. Right now, what is it? Stats has some Immortals out, right? So this Blink upgrade, not going to necessarily really do anything right now. 7 Stalkers. You know, it's not too many Stalkers if he doesn't keep warping in a whole bunch more of them. A little bit later here on the Forge for Stats. And he goes right into charge. I like to see that quite a bit, actually.
Yeah.
When you go like Immortals to counter Blink Stalker and then you go right into charge, you normally have a very strong army in comparison in the mid game because they have these Stalkers that don't do very well against either unit, really.
Okay, so Trap is going to blink in here and just see if he can't get any kills on anything. Now with the Immortal coming up, I think that's going to be what triggers Trap to have to leave once more. But this is a good pin technique. This is going to keep Stats from really moving out on the map. I like this hidden tech in the top center here by Trap. That's pretty cool because that can really... we know for sure no matter what Stats is eventually going to get a scout off inside the main. So to not see that can actually be pretty confusing and end up with Stats having the improper unit composition. Now, I got to say, I feel like Trap's not been that effective with these Stalkers too. Not a ton of damage has really been dealt. And I think at this point in time, Stats is going to be pretty comfortable powering on just 2 bases. And we actually see... Look at this.
Yeah, double Robo Disruptor.
Disruptors coming into play. This is very cool. And this may throw Stats off.
Yeah, this is very old meta. The Disruptor's been through so many changes recently. And the thing is, it was out of the meta for a long time in PvP anyways. Like, occasionally you would see it, like a few of them. But, you know, there's actual, like, very hard counters to Disruptors as well. Like, you can go Phoenixes against them and lift them up and cancel their shots and all that stuff. But they definitely act a little bit different now with that detonation as they hit the center and stuff. Even getting the glaives to go along with that. So, very neat what we're seeing here. How does Stats go ahead and counter this, though? He's just making units right now, so...
Yeah.
This is where it can get a little bit dangerous. Disruptors will gain a lot of value over time if you don't have a real counter to them.
Well, and some of the army here for Stats is certainly not that mobile. You know? It's not like you could actually avoid... hold on. I believe he just saw at the tip of his vision this attack come in here now. Now, the Disruptors, one shot coming out here. Ooh. Now, the Sentry specifically cannot avoid the Disruptor shots. They're just not fast enough. And if he can just keep kiting these Disruptors back and chucking forward with a few attacks. Ooh, actually good interception here with these Zealots. Now hitting these Stalkers. Yeah, but if he can keep getting these Disruptor shots off, he's going to thin out the army of Stats enough that I think Trap might be able to push and actually stop the Stats from maybe even keeping this third base that he's taking here.
It's a bit of a technical army here from Trap, but you definitely gain a lot of value over time. Ooh, he does the double shot. Come on now, beginning of Legacy of Void, people figured out you're not supposed to do that, but look at this, he's getting some real valuable hits.
Yeah, and this is not something where he's trading at all. I mean, as long as the Stalkers mostly go untouched and the Disruptor shots connect, well, that's all you got to do. But these Zealots coming in here on the side, Trap actually getting pinned up against the wall, one Disruptor going down. Trap seems to be angling himself as not so bad, but let's see if he gets a few more disruptor shots off. I still think that Trap could basically chase Stats back.
Yeah, I would say so.
Especially if he gets it on the warp-ins here.
I'd love to see him warp in. Okay, he does have some adepts up top there, so he got glaives, and this is a good way to thin out some of these smaller amounts of zealots as well.
Okay, here we go. Again, another big shot there on that Immortal. All these Immortals in the orange.
Oh my god, he gets a prism as well.
Okay.
Stats, this is looking a little bit rough. He's got to get out of here.
Yeah, well, he actually might end up getting stuck on the corner of the map if Trap tries to close in on him. It's easier said than done for sure.
Okay, Trap trying to chase him down right now. Blinks forward here, of course, has to pull back. Good micro on both sides. Oh man. Yeah, Stats having a bit of a hard time against this. I'm surprised, though, because we were talking about this where, like, he doesn't actually have a counter to Disruptor. He's trying to utilize charge lots against it, which it's like okay. We did see one Disruptor shot actually blow up a bunch of Stalkers because a charge lot ran into it when it was close to his army. But, you know, is that a hard enough counter here? We see Trap just continually gaining value out of these shots, out of these Purification Novas tastes.
Certainly. He's going to come down now. Now, the angle at which Trap's going to, or Stat's going to try to come up at could be problematic. Nice juggling, getting one of those Immortals there, but I think this is just too much damage.
Yeah.
I think Trap's about to close this game out. I mean, there's no way with the remaining Stalkers here and Disruptor shots continuously coming out that Trap will not close this out. GG. Trap takes game one.
That was a cool game. I really enjoyed seeing him bring this double Robo Disruptor play in. It went so far out of style for so long. To see it back is really cool and refreshing. The thing is, like, the way that Stats played this, how he didn't really try to counter it very hard. Like, he had some Immortals out there. Those do, like, kind of some work against them, I guess, by staying alive with their high shields or something. But, I don't know. I'm sure Trap brought more than just this. So he gets this win, but does he keep playing like this?
I think some of this was Stats being caught off guard. I think if Trap thought that this was a more normal way to play the game and you should always approach it this way, I don't think he would have hidden that tech up there. And I think that did throw Stats off. And I don't know what to expect here in game number 2. You have to imagine that all of these guys have come with so many builds in PvP today. We're going to probably see every kind of PvP you can imagine.
I'm super interested in this. I want to talk more about this as the game starts, this Disruptor build, because some things are coming to mind, like the way they detonate now. Phoenixes are actually not as good a counter as they once were, because you don't have like the full, 2 seconds or whatever it was.
That's true.
Because it can just detonate now.
GSL Season 1, Code S, Daybreak. Splice, Stats.
Getting kind of killed off pretty quickly there from that Disruptor build, but I'm not so sure that Phoenixes are actually going to be a very good counter against it the more I think about it. Charge lots might be the way.
Jin Air Green Wings, Trap.
Some solid play overall from Trap in that first game. Not surprised to see him taking that off of Stats again. Trap is...
Well, I mean, if you look at the two players overall, Stats is everything that a conservative Protoss wants to be, whereas Trap is pretty tricky. Like, he kind of plays around the normal way to play the game.
Well, the thing I've always liked about his PvP, and I just said kind of a funny thing back during Heart of the Storm about this, where it's like, God, what was it? It's something about how, like, if better players are at a disadvantage in PvP in Heart of the Swarm because they know that they're better, so they try to be safe against everything. If you try to be safe against everything, you're inherently unsafe.
Yeah, isn't that funny how that works in RTS?
Yeah, and that's how Trap would...
this matchup.
Yeah, Trap would do especially good against players like Stats or Rain or whoever back in that time era,
maybe
right?
Some iterations of Zest,
because it's like, he'll just be like, oh, if you go DTs, I lose, but otherwise I have an advantage, right?
Well,
like he'll skip the Robo and have 2 extra Stalkers or something like that.
PvP is like the matchup where Gambleade is actually a real factor. You can take some risks and it can actually pay off hugely.
It's very important.
It's always been like that all the way to the early StarCraft 1 PvP days. It's just the way that matchup kind of works. It also seems like with the shield battery in play, it's a little bit easier to ensure that you're going to get an expansion in PvP.
You know, of course, Mothership Core, I think, did a pretty good job as well. But,
sure, but
yeah, the shield battery it's so interesting with, like, when you make it and how you utilize it for that defense. But I don't know. I really do like that addition of shield battery overall to this game.
Well, the shield battery is a funny building because, you know, the guy's shield battery is actually a throwback to one of the StarCraft 1 buildings.
It's a billion% better than that shield battery.
It's a billion percent better. But what's funny now is even now, occasionally in StarCraft 1, people pull out the shield battery.
Occasionally, yeah.
It has utility. It's just sort of a rare thing.
It's
a rare thing.
It's a special moment when it does come out, but it can be good.
Yeah. No, it absolutely can be completely fine. But I think it's much better in StarCraft 2. There's a lot of stuff they did much better, I think, in StarCraft 2. Like Creep, just Zerg Creep in general. I love that.
Just the feel of Zerg.
Yeah.
It's really fantastic. By the way, it is a Stargate, and then also it looks like 3 gates here for Trap. So we are going to see that Phoenix play. I'm not surprised that we're going to see that, and it's going to be pretty good against what he's up against, right? This is Robotech after the expansion?
Yeah, well, you know, one thing that we should point out is that they were actually forcing the probes, both of them, to stay trapped in the main.
Yeah.
So they couldn't actually scout the Nexus.
It's true.
Over there. And I think that Trap may have misled Stats here, because Stats comes down and sees, oh, there's actually no base here? There's no base here?
Yeah.
Well, that means he's going to be attacking me. And we're seeing that happen right now as he's really, like, putting a lot of pressure on. But can't Stats just keep making shield batteries? Am I mistaken about this?
He is, but this is a lot of Stalkers. I think this might be able to chew through. I mean, some good micros so far.
Oh, my God. Okay, he's when push comes to shove, it seems like Stats actually gets to at least hold on to this position for a little bit longer. Now, Trap has to do something pretty quickly because you just don't last 1 base versus 2 base in PvP for that long.
This is kind of a funny way to use Phoenixes as well, by the way.
Yeah.
150, 100, and he lifts up a Stalker with it. Like, that costs more than a Stalker, and it neutralizes 1 Stalker, which you still have to attack with your other Stalkers.
Yeah,
so
it's using a lift simply to remove a unit from a fight, not to try to pick anything off.
Like, if there were Immortals in this fight, that would, I guess, be much more useful.
Maybe that's what he actually...
Yeah, it could be.
Might want to be using it for later, because the first Immortal's actually going to be out.
Yeah, see, there's the Immortal. I think you could be right on that.
This Trap just... I don't see, if he doesn't close this out pretty quickly...
Well, the force fields... Like, this little choke is not going to do any favors for Stats. If he uses these force fields, which he's not really yet.
Yeah, we're still kind of waiting. We're holding our breath on that one.
Oh, man, and look at this. Stats actually coming out right now.
Does he have
energy on that Phoenix to lift up?
He should now. Here we go. But the second Immortal comes down. That's it. GG. Stats holds.
That was a very weird...
I don't know if I was a fan of that strat by Trap.
Yeah.
Even the timing when he finally did come in and pick up the Immortal, it's like his second Immortal just came out. It doesn't seem like when you practiced it, it was going to pan out against a player like Stats.
Yeah, it was weird that he, like... I mean, I like Phoenix play in the matchup like I was talking about. I mean, 3-gate can be cool to put on some pressure and stuff, but when you do all that without a Nexus and you don't even come close to doing anything... Maybe that first push and he didn't push hard enough with.
It's also
like when
possible.
He had 9 Stalkers against, what was it, 4 and 3 Sentries?
You know, it's also possible Stats, being the pretty good defensive player, actually cut a few corners that we didn't quite catch back there. Just to make sure that he absolutely had enough to hold anything. Because just watching it, it didn't really seem like there were any key moments that Trap was going to be able to crack the defenses.
Yeah.
And from there, you know, I'm wondering...
It was weird.
What does that strategy normally look like when Trap practices it? So Trap, sticking with some deceptive play, manages to fail with that in game number 2. I don't know what he has planned on Black-Pink. Again, the other players are allowed to spec these games, so you have to imagine everybody trying to just gather as much information on each other's playstyles as possible to try to figure out what build do I actually dish out in this all Protoss group.
GSL Season 1, Code S, Daybreak.
It's a good point that you bring up because Trap and SOS both being on Jin Air, right? That's,
oh yeah, I wasn't even thinking about that.
Their coach can sit here and watch what's happening from the different players, from specifically, I guess, their opponents. And also they can just talk to each other. It's like, okay, this is what happened in my games. Because right now, SOS should probably just be focusing on his plans against Hero. These Protoss players are all different, right? He doesn't want to be overloading his mind watching this match and trying to take notes.
Yeah.
When he has to play a different player next, right? So that kind of gives the Jin Air boys a leg up in that regard, I would say.
I think you're probably right.
I know you agree. In fact, I was going to say, I don't know if you agree, but I'm like, actually, Tasteless, I know everything about you, and you agree with me.
I definitely agree with you on this one.
Yep.
Guys, this has just been already a great evening. It feels funny to be down here this late, though.
Yeah.
At 9. Like, I left my house and it was dark outside, which was just weird.
Well, I left... I got up at 4 a.m. this morning because I went over to the Olympics and watched the gold medal.
You got the gold medal for casting games,
so,
right?
I've been up a long time and it's like late, and I'm actually very surprised how many people showed up because I'm like, well, people aren't going to be able to get home on the train if they stay for everything.
It means you guys got to stay out all night, man.
Yeah, stay up till the train.
You guys might as well start drinking now, guys.
when does the train start in the morning? 4:30, something like that?
No, I think it's like 5.
Is it 5?
Yeah, I think it's 5 a.m. So this is commitment. You guys stay here all night. You don't have to go back to the hotel.
No.
Just keep staying up. Go to the PC cafe. Go to the bars. Whatever you got to do.
Hey, everyone's done it once, right?
Why not? Why not tonight? So, in this game, it seems like Stats is once again going to gear up to expand. We'll see if Trap tries to do anything deceptive. I also wonder if Trap actually tried to play a more straight-up PvP, if he would just lose his stats. There's nothing wrong with Trap avoiding a traditional PvP. But I'm curious, like, if they go head-to-head, is Trap able to actually hold?
I think you would do, like, okay-ish. You know, as we get into bigger, longer games, Stats does very well, and he tries to set himself up in such a way that he always gets into those games. Like, for instance, look at his build, right? It's Stalker Sentry. That's what he opens with. He wants that early Sentry so he can get a guaranteed scout off on what Trap is up to. Whereas Trap, he's like, well, we're gonna play it a little bit quicker here.
So we have the Stargate coming again. Now, I think if Trap doesn't try to do some kind of bust on Stats, I think it would be harder to pull off. Okay, he's not going to do that. We're seeing the Nexus come down now. I was going to say, because if he was to try to do some kind of bust, there's actually a ramp to your natural expansion on this map. So I don't. It's way less desirable. To try anything crazy.
It's
in
almost
a location like that.
I would even go as far to say it's like so dumb to do it that we might see SOS do it tonight to kill somebody with it.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Sometimes there are strategies that are so not.
Just how do you attack up that ramp?
Not proper on a certain map that you'll see players actually try them because a lot of other players will discount them as from being a possibility.
Yeah. That's when you get quotes like, he beat me because he's bad.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like, man.
Yeah.
It's like, look at that ramp. You have a shield battery at the top. You got your units at the top of it. It's just so difficult to break through. All right, some scouting going on by Stats. Sees what's up, that Phoenixes are being created.
So two very different directions here is we have Trap going for air, but it's Stats that's getting the Robo now and getting a Forge as well.
He's got that shield battery here. Be able to kill a couple probes off. I like the sentries trying to defend the probes.
I know. Watching just sentries fight anything, minus the right when the beta of this game came out, it's generally pretty hilarious. Remember when sentries actually just did a little bit too much damage right when the game came out?
Like 8 base
and you just
damage.
see somebody coming and attacking you with 11 sentries, you're like, what? And then they just keep making force fields and killing stuff.
I remember I would go mutas against Protoss, and they just have a bunch of sentries and kill all my mutas. And I'd be like,
so funny.
Huh, isn't that a spellcaster? That's kind of weird.
Yeah. Same thing happened when Warcraft 3 first came out, where the Shaman was like too good.
Yeah.
As well, people could just make way too many of them. Now I think he's going to commit here. Here we go.
Wow, look at this. Just shades right on top of these sentries, trying to pick those off.
But it seems like he's actually going for probes on the side here. I'm surprised the Phoenixes don't go for the sentries as well.
Huh.
That was an odd-looking exchange as all 3 sentries lived.
Yeah, that was...
Through that?
That did look odd. I think that's a good way to put it, Tasteless.
That's not the way it was supposed to go. Now, Trap is still darting through here and picking off probes little by little. this actually is giving Trap a 6-probe lead for the time being.
How many Stalkers has he forced out? Because this is the thing I'm very interested about that we were actually talking about right at the beginning, right? There's 4. How many are in the main base? I wish that we could just go look at the main. I think there's like 3 in the main. I could be wrong about that. We'll see. He'll fly into the main again with those Phoenixes, no doubt. But, you know, he's kind of forcing a bunch of Stalkers out. Does stats go into Blink here? You play against this sometimes, you feel like you need to. He started charge, canceled, went into Templar Archives. I think that's actually a good move because basically for the reasons that I was talking about at the beginning, if you go into like a Blink, if you're trying to utilize these Stalkers really heavily, and your opponent's just making a bunch of Immortals, that's tough. But if your opponent is on things like Phoenixes and Immortals, if he's very tech-heavy in those ways, then a good counter that can be Archons and charge lots. You just kind of like mass up, and it's like, well, your units don't really do that well against this comp.
You know, it's a funny predicament that Trap has put stats in because stats actually can't expand right now. Assuming the Trap is on top of taking out probes to leave the base, I think we're actually going to see Trap expand before stats, and there's actually nothing stats can really do about it. He actually, I think, is going to continue to try to come in here and just take out workers. And, you know, this is the Phoenixes do so much here. You're scouting, you're forcing them to make certain units, which you can then try to counter. For instance, we see these Immortals over here. The Trap is making, it's going to be very good against these Stalkers that are coming up. And you're keeping him from actually growing base-wise. And here we see Trap now taking that first base, as all stats can do is send this Observer through and kind of see the position that he's in. Now, I still think there should be some kind of a timing coming out here from stats, but this puts a little bit of pressure on stats to come up with something. And I think that something is about to be right now because
he is doing this this timing that you're talking about. And this timing will kill Trap if he tries to defend his third base. I think that Trap right now needs to just suck it up. It's okay. Like, his comp is going to scale pretty well as it gets bigger, but he's down an attack upgrade, and there just should be more ground units overall here coming from his opponent, right? I believe stats should just... Yeah, he has pretty significantly more ground units, so...
Also, we're going to see how some of these Archon shots connect. Okay, now that's really bad, because taking out those 2 Phoenixes, that's 2 less pickups in the fight. In fact, this may be...
Yeah, he's got to give up this third. I don't think he should fight. I think he backs up.
He just sacks it.
Get a couple more rounds in here. Like, his comp is going to scale really well because of his Immortals.
It actually seems like Stats wants to go for the jugular here.
I think he realizes that his units are not going to stay great forever. Okay. The Phoenixes come in, go after that Prism. Such an important kill if he can get it.
And he does.
Ooh.
But is there too much on the ground here? We still have 3 Immortals in the back, and actually enough for Trap that he's going to hold this. He's actually going to save his third base, Artosis. I wonder if it would have been wiser for Stats to try to go up on the high ground and take out that third instead of trying to make such a game-ending play.
That is a really great question, and I'm not actually sure about this because I respect his decision to go up, because when you look at those armies, it's like, well, if you go up and kill that Nexus, he gets the extra warping round, and you're not going to do anything attacking up the ramp against him. But maybe right there he could have broken him, and he didn't break him. But... I mean, in retrospect, it's easy to just say, yeah, I guess that was wrong, right? Because it didn't work, and now Trap is a third. But it's tough to look at this and just say, okay, the Immortals are going to win the battles later on.
Yeah.
When these guys have similar upgrades and Trap is on 4 more Immortals or 5 more Immortals in stats, you're just not going to win that fight.
I also wonder if he had not lost as many Phoenixes during this, because he's now flying around with just 2. He doesn't appear to be making anymore either, so he's really in a ground army arms race here against Stats.
He's, I think he'll do fine on that, though. It's like, Immortals deal massive amounts of damage. You keep getting those attack upgrades. They do well against Archons.
The Immortals basically the best. Is that like the best unit in the game overall?
Oh, that's a good question.
I think it actually is. If you really think about it, like what
best unit?
I mean, I know it's like, well, it can be killed by Zerglings. It's like, yeah. But I mean,
that's not what we're talking about.
Realistically, like, how many fights can this thing win in such a more one-sided fashion than other units.
Yeah, it might be the best unit in the game.
It's
possible.
It's always been my personal favorite unit.
I think the charged lot is maybe in the running. And I think it's like hard to deny the power of Zerglings still.
Yeah.
but it's a good question. Food for thought right there. What is the most powerful unit in the game?
And when I say it, I'm not talking about OP.
Well, a carrier beats everything one-on-one. No, that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah. I'm just talking about like the
yes,
cost
we know a
of
battle
it,
cruiser can jump away in Yamoto. Yes, we know.
The number of different units it can win in a fairly one-sided fashion.
Mortal beats like everything on the ground.
It can be juggled with a War Prism.
Oh. It's a good unit.
It can kill workers fast.
Definitely.
You know,
it's a good unit. Good catch there with the Phoenixes.
So
Charge lots get out, but not
we
much
actually
damage.
see stats pushing across the map here, and I think Trap's actually ready for. Whoa! Here we go.
Yeah, those 4 mortals in the back dealing huge amounts of damage right now. Of course, the Archons of stats clean up these Zealots.
That's going to be a Trappist crushing through here. It is just Archons. Watching Archons try to kite is kind of hilarious. And I think from here, Trap should be able to bulldoze into the third base, right?
Yeah, I mean, if he just keeps making some units here, he should have no problem. Like, look at the units that are being reinforced. 5 Stalkers come down. Yeah, those are going to help against those Immortals. And he's sitting here on... He's got 5 Immortals right now, 4 in this army. There comes the 5th. God, that's a lot of damage.
Okay, feedbacks there on the Phoenixes. Now, this was not exactly an ideal engage from Trap. He did not quite have the angles where the Archons could do everything that they wanted to do, but I think it was still with 4 Immortals in the back taking pot shots.
Well, they wreck Archons as well.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Even though they don't get bonus damage, like, they do well in every situation here.
Okay.
If they're not being hit by masses of charge lots, they kind of beat everything.
And right now, Trap is oh, hold up. Oh, my God. Good thing he actually saved that War Prism. Because if he actually holds his fight, he's going to need that later on to do harass and counter pushes. Trap's just slowly pushing forward. Stats knows he has to hang on at this moment or this game's going to end.
Well, he's not going to hold on.
Yeah, there's too many Archons here.
No way. I guess his Stalkers are trying to fight. Yeah, okay, the Stalker is like so outclassed in this army.
Yeah, no kidding. That's it, GG. Trap takes our first best of 3 and will now sit in the winner's match waiting for his opponent.
Yeah, and I think that is that kind of shows, you know, why these Phoenix openings can be really good. You know, you're forcing all these Stalkers and stuff. And
sure.
Your opponent just kind of has this slight edge as far as unit comp goes. And those Immortals really carried the day. You know, after he held that initial attack, of course, he was ahead from that. And then it's like Stats is sitting there. It's like, hey, well, are you just supposed to start making Immortals and have less units then? Immortals are expensive.
Yeah, if you're going to be in a race in a mirror matchup and you're both trying to make the same units, the guy who started out first is going to win.
Yeah.
Pretty straightforward. All right, guys, we're going to a short break. When we come back, Hero versus SOS.